the stock market bounces back.
They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actor.
But the country is still full of uncertainty. Over 100 dead.
For them, our heart is with you.
In a tragedy at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic. A homecoming for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
This is a major blow to their financial operations.
After $500 million worth of drugs were intercepted on Florida's coast. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Julie Lascano.
And I'm Alejandro Marquina. Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2025.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
President Trump making the announcement that many of the tariffs that began yesterday are now on hold. The markets are on the rise after that major announcement from President Trump.
Yeah, and in a surprise move, the president hit pause on some of the new tariffs that were set to take effect, but not for China. As tensions with Beijing escalate, China is now facing even steeper tariffs, sparking fresh outrage and economic uncertainty.
He keeps changing things from day to day. You cannot run a country with such chaos.
Treasury officials are doubling down, calling China a bad actor, while Vice President J.D. Vance's recent remarks of, quote, Chinese peasants are drawing fierce criticism from Chinese leaders. Meanwhile, lawmakers at home warn the administration's chaotic approach could be doing lasting damage.
President Trump may have paused the reciprocal tariffs for 90 days, but some grocery prices may still be getting more expensive. That's thanks to the 10% tariffs that went into place last Saturday. Experts say shoppers can expect to see prices rise on seafood, coffee, fruit, cheese, nuts, and candy bars, as well as items that contain ingredients and packaging like plastic and aluminum. However, large suppliers like Campbell and Kraft Heinz may be more capable of managing the burden of tariffs compared to the smaller producers.
House Speaker Mike Johnson delivered a crucial budget vote as GOP members push for deeper spending cuts. He says Republicans are united on advancing Trump's agenda and expect to move forward with a revised plan on Thursday, promising no cuts to social insurance programs.
So in the reconciliation process, we want to ensure and have commitments amongst ourselves that we're going to find a requisite number of savings while also protecting essential programs. We're not going to cut Medicare, Social Security, or Medicaid. Don't believe the lies about that.
Johnson's next move is unclear. GOP leadership sources have suggested he may still force bringing the vote on the blueprint to the floor, daring Republicans to vote against the president.
And yesterday, the U.S. Senate confirmed Miami-Dade County Commissioner Kevin Marino Cabrera as the next U.S. ambassador to Panama. President Donald Trump nominated Cabrera for the position earlier this year. Cabrera expressed how he's deeply honored by the trust placed by the president and the U.S. Senate. Meanwhile, Trump posted in Truth Social how he's pleased about the announcement and described the incoming ambassador as a fierce fighter for the America First principles.
This morning, the government's efforts to take down drug cartels is working as drugs are seized off the Florida coast. FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi held a news conference yesterday at Port Everglades announcing the law enforcement's interception of over $500 million of illegal drugs. This includes 45,000 pounds of cocaine and 3,800 pounds of marijuana. Ships, aircrafts, and drones were used to intercept the traffickers from the coast of Peru.
Operation is an example of the unprecedented collaboration between the military and the Department of Justice components.
Bondi said investigators linked two cartels labeled as foreign terrorist organizations by the Trump administration.
This morning, families are in the mourning after a roof of a famous nightclub collapsed in the Dominican Republic, killing more than 100 people. Caplin News reporter Valentina Gaspari is in the control room with more details on the tragedy.
Officials say at least 184 people are dead and 250 are injured after tragedy strikes a popular nightclub in Santo Domingo early Tuesday. The Jet Set Club was filled with musicians and special guests when dust began to fall into people's drinks. Minutes later, the roof collapsed. Now, time is ticking for first responders to pull people believed to be trapped in the debris. This morning, the search for survivors in the rubble continue in Santo Domingo. Video footage captured the moments before the roof came tumbling down at Jet Set nightclub in the capital early Tuesday. Authorities say at least 300 people were inside the club at the time. A merengue orchestra was performing on stage when the tragedy occurred. More than 150 people have been rescued so far. Families of the missing showed up to the site with pictures of their loved ones, desperate for answers. And abroad, many with ties to the Caribbean nation, holding a vigil Tuesday afternoon in honor of the dozens of victims killed, clutching the Dominican flag, while some wiped away tears.
All the victims that perished in this horrible event, for them, our heart is with you.
The cause of the collapse is not yet known, but among the dead, former Major League Baseball players Octavio Dotel and Tony Blanco.
It's so sad that such a horrible incident happened where a lot of people had lost their life, where we have mothers, fathers, sisters, friends that we lost, and today our nation is full of pain because of this.
The president of the Dominican Republic, Luis Abinader, has declared 3 days of mourning following the disaster. As of now, the cause of the collapse is not yet known. In the control room, Valentina Gaspari, Caplin News.
And coral concerns are rising right along with temperatures in South Florida. Caplin News reporter Chloe Barnett has the story.
With South Florida temperatures back on the rise, it means it's time to get back into the water or to simply lay by the beach. But whether your outdoor activities include snorkeling or just soaking in the sun, one of the many ecosystems that makes it all possible may be in danger with these high temperature rises.
Coral reefs protect coastal communities and support recreational activities like fishing. A record-breaking coral bleaching event in 2023 devastated South Florida's reefs and fish populations, effects that are still visible today. Emily Jackson, a doctoral student at the Tropical Fish Ecology Lab at FIU, explains how this continues to impact fish.
There's a really well-documented relationship, unfortunately, between a loss of fish diversity and fish species richness, the number of fish and the type that they are, and the loss of coral as well.
NOAA reports a 60% chance of a global bleaching event this summer. While it appears South Florida may be spared, communities are prepared to take action. The Coral Restoration Foundation is one of the many groups working to help reefs thrive again, with a clear plan of action to prevent bleaching in their nurseries.
They are these structures that we put on top of our coral trees, and they shade the corals on the tree and also help with like the radiance of the sunlight, because that's also, not only is the temperature a big thing with coral bleaching, but also the radiance of the sunlight.
With many organizations here in South Florida working to combat these issues, there are still hopes that our coral reefs will once thrive again. For Caplin News, I'm Chloe Barnett.
Playing preview as the Heat and the Bulls play a regular season game ahead of their elimination matchup.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Consumers are expecting to really go out for Easter this year.
With uncertainty in the markets, your Easter plans could cost a little bit more. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Pantotech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
With the markets going up and down, there are concerns about spring spending as Easter season approaches. President Donald Trump's tariffs on imports have caused an economic shakeup, but it's not stopping shoppers from spending this Easter holiday.
Caplin's Aliyah Whitney looks at how much your celebration could cost.
Easter spending is expected to soar this year, despite a lot of economic uncertainty.
Consumers are expecting to really go out for Easter this year.
The National Retail Federation estimates consumers will shell out more than $23 billion this year, with people spending around $189 per person on average. That's up $12 from last year. Catherine Cullen from the National Retail Federation says even though some items are more expensive due to inflation, it's not holding people back from shopping.
Through all of these tumultuous times, consumers have been very protective of these holidays.
According to the National Retail Federation's recent survey, consumers will spend the most on candy and food, and nothing says Easter like an extravaganza.
Easter is our highest consumption period of the entire year.
Emily Metz is the CEO of the American Egg Board. She says Americans are expected to eat or decorate over 3 billion eggs this spring season. The good news is egg prices have come down in the last few weeks, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Metz says fewer avian flu cases have helped stabilize prices, but they are still much higher than this time last year.
That has made a significant impact. It's allowing our system to recover.
So how can shoppers save this holiday?
Certainly think about which decorations you can reuse from last year, whether or not you can encourage people to participate in a potluck.
Cullen also recommends painting wooden eggs instead of real ones. For Caplin News, I'm Aliyah Whitney.
April is Stress Awareness Month, and while most of us are all too familiar with the feeling, experts say many people may not have all the tools they need to find relief from it. Caplin Samantha Gutierrez has more on healthy ways to cope with everyday stress ahead of finals week.
Yes, exam season has students a bit overwhelmed, but the month of April isn't just about cramming for exams. It's also about identifying stress and learning healthy ways to deal with it. I spoke to a student and an expert about how to stay grounded during this chaos. From school assignments to work life to trying to maintain a social life, people are often juggling a lot at once.
We're living in incredibly stressful times these days, and unfortunately we often go on autopilot and we don't necessarily take a step back and recognize all the sources of stress in our lives and how it might be affecting us emotionally and physically.
Psychologist Adam Borland with Cleveland Clinic says sometimes people down unhealthy avenues when trying to cope. Instead, he challenges those who are stressed to focus on a healthy daily routine. Eat regular meals, move your body, and getting quality sleep. Focusing on self-care can also help your body recharge.
I often encourage my patients to engage in meditation or some sort of deep breathing exercise.
And it's not just about physical health. Social connections matter too. Borland says staying in touch with friends and family and making time for creative outlet can help reduce stress levels significantly.
Whether that's going to the pool, whether that's pulling out a book that has nothing to do with school, I think that's the most important thing to do, to know that I'm still a person. I still need the self-care for myself.
Students like Nicolette say that one of the hardest parts is figuring out when to take a pause.
I can see myself getting super anxious throughout the day.
We always want to take a step back and get a sense of where is my stress level right now and what can I do to prioritize self-care.
Borland also says gratitude. Yes, just being thankful can shift your mindset during a high-stress situation. So whether it's finals or a tough week, just take a step back, breathe, and focus on what's working, not just what's weighing you down. Reporting from the classroom, I'm Samantha Gutierrez for Caplin News.
The Miami Heat are kicking themselves this morning after losing a game to the Chicago Bulls with heavy seeding implications. Tyler Hero scored 30 points, and although he was the scoring leader for the Heat, Hero faces criticism for his decision to attempt a three-pointer instead of taking an open layup towards the end of the game. The final score was Heat 111, Chicago 119. The Heat will head to the Big Easy to face the New Orleans Pelicans tomorrow at 8 p.m.
And after a disappointing loss against LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Inter Miami hoped to come back on aggregate to win the quarterfinal. LA came in strong with a shot in the box to make the score 1-0 in the 9th minute. But Messi balled out, scoring a left-footed stunner to put Miami on the board. It was all Miami after that, with Federico Redondo scoring a header and a penalty by none other but Leo Messi to give Inter Miami the win. The final score was Inter Miami 3, LAFC 1. Inter will go on to Chicago to continue their MLS season Sunday at 4:30 p.m.
And the Miami Marlins have been completely unexpected since the start of the season. The Marlins shut out the Mets 5-0 yesterday, snapping with New York's win streak after 4 no-hit innings. Miami broke through in the 5th against Tyler McGill. Matt Mervis shined with a homer and 3 RBIs, now 6-6. The Marlins hit the road for a 6-game trip.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Julian Luscano.
And I'm Alejandro Marquina. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.